Deputy Thomas Boone has this motion. The Minister's taking this, isn't that right? Yeah. Minister taking number 2, you are. Yeah, Deputy Boone.
Thanks, Lascan. Many constituents, Minister, in Dublin Bay North were astonished recently to learn of a proposal by Fingleton White and Company and the Independent Pipeline Company for a 16-kilometre aviation fuel pipeline from Dublin Port to Dublin Airport. The kerosene pipeline is proposed to pass up along the Malahide Road through a densely populated residential region including East Wall, Fairview, Marino, Clontarf, Dooneycarney, Artane, Coolock, Darndale, Airfield, Clarehall and Burnell, along the R139, the former N32, and the M1 and up to the airport. This proposal, Minister, is a major change of route from the 2001 Fingleton White oil pipeline plan of 11.1 kilometres, which was to run from the port up East Wall Road through Ballybock onto Richmond Road and up through Drumcondra and Grace Park Road onto Griffith Avenue and the Swords Road through Whitehall to the airport. I note the grave and very serious concerns and indeed consternation of the East Wall, Drumcondra and Whitehall residents during the planning process on this earlier Bord Pleanála approved plan PL 29N 122-692. Those very same concerns are now shared by my Dublin Bay North constituents. I understand that no revised version of the 2001 plan has yet been submitted to Dublin City Council, but I note that Fingleton White approached on Bord Pleanála in 2009-10, and the board's inspector decided that under section 37B of the Planning and Developments Act 2000-2006, the new proposal wasn't strategic infrastructure under the Act, and Planning Commission had to be granted by Dublin City Council and Fingal Council. But this attempt, Minister, by the developer to circumvent the democratic local authorities reflects the total lack of consultation by the proposers with residents and public representatives in relation to this proposal for a kerosene pipeline to residential areas. With the exception of 2 poorly publicised briefings in September, none of the dozen or so affected parishes have received information on the proposals. And during the earlier process in 1999-2001, there were huge health and safety issues raised by residents groups, but amazingly there was no environmental impact study with the earlier plan, and indeed there's no EIS proposed with this plan either. We're informed that the 200mm diameter pipeline will be made of continuous welded steel with an outer wall of 12.7mm, and it will be laid 1.5 metres below the road with 1.2 metres of cover. But there's no explanation whatsoever as to why a much longer route of 4.4 kilometres, again through densely populated areas, is being proposed now rather than simply seeking an extension of the 2001 permission. In relation to health and safety, in 1999-2001 and now, constituents rightly ask why such a pipeline, if needed at all, is not simply brought across open country from Breamore or Drogheda Port down to the airport. A review of accident history in the US, European Union and elsewhere shows that fuel pipelines can be very hazardous. Even a cursory check on pipeline safety records reveals a disturbing litany of disasters in each decade since the 1960s. In the US, for example, there have been many serious oil pipeline incidents, and in 1976 an oil pipeline ruptured in Los Angeles and killed 9 people. We've had major oil pipeline disasters in Niger Delta, killing thousands of people. Stricter EU legislation has meant there have been relatively few notable incidents involving oil pipelines in Europe, but in 2004 there was a major gas pipeline rupture at Gislingen in Belgium, where 24 people were killed and 132 seriously injured. Clearly, leak detection systems for oil pipelines are critical aspects of such infrastructure, but in the earlier proposal in this matter and in now, there's little or no information on such safety mechanisms and standards. It beggars belief that, according to Fingleton White, of the 6 routes allegedly earmarked by the developers in so-called pre-planning discussions, that the Malahide Road route came out as the optimal route. Constituents ask why this pipeline and any such route is needed at all, Minister. They correctly point to the presence of the €800 million port tunnel, which over the past 8 years has diverted heavy commercial traffic, including aviation fuel trucks, out of Dublin Port along the 4.5-kilometre tunnel out past Santry and just 2 kilometres further north along the M1 to Dublin Airport. The port tunnel was planned and developed from 1993, as the Lascan will remember, and it's one of the greatest infrastructural projects in the state's history. Now, aviation trucks make up something like 1.5% of the traffic on that, and clearly maximising its usage of commercial and other vehicles is a core objective of sustainable Dublin transport policy. In the US, by the way, Minister, on EU legislation, there seems to be no safe setback distance for pipelines pipelines from family homes and family facilities. So in conclusion, Laskin Corla, this kerosene pipeline proposal through densely populated residential districts seems a half-baked, ill-thought-out kite-flying exercise by Finkleton White. I believe that no cost-benefit analysis will show that the use of an expensively built and possibly very dangerous oil pipeline through residential areas of Dublin Bay North is more cost-effective and safer for citizens than the existing simple system we have of oil transport network, utilising the Dublin port, which of course was a key reason for the tunnel's construction in the first place. Thanks,
Minister.
Thanks, Minister.
Thank you, Laskin Corla. I'd like to thank the Deputy for raising this very important issue and for helping to raise awareness about it as well. I have to say that I am taking this topical issue on behalf of the Minister for the Environment, Minister Alan Kelly. And I wish to state that the Department of Environment, Community and Local Government has no involvement with this project, nor I understand has the Department of Transport, Tourism and Sport. I understand from newspaper reports that a company called the Independent Pipeline Company, which is backed by a County Laois-based engineering concern, Finkleton White, and Dublin-based fuel transporters Reynolds Logistics, intends to submit planning applications to both Dublin City Council and Fingal County Council in the coming weeks for an aviation fuel pipeline between Dublin Port and Dublin Airport. In effect, the proposal is a private development, as the proposed pipeline would traverse the functional areas of two planning authorities. Planning applications are required to be submitted to the two concerned. In this regard, I would like to point out that the role of my colleague, the Minister for Environment, Community and Local Government in relation to the planning system is primarily to provide and update the legislative and policy framework, including the provision of policy guidance to the planning authorities, including on board Pleanála, so that they can carry out their prescribed planning functions. The legislative framework comprises the Planning and Development Acts 2000 to 2014 and the Planning and Development Regulations 2001 to 2013. The Department of Environment, Community and Local Government has also issued a large number of policy guidance documents in the form of planning guidelines under Section 28 of the Planning and Development Act, which planning authorities and on board Pleanála are obliged to have regard to in the exercise of their planning functions. Therefore, in this particular case, if and when the planning applications are lodged in respect of the proposed aviation fuel pipeline, the decision as to whether to grant planning permission or not, with or without conditions, will be a matter for the relevant planning authority in the first instance. Given the scale of the proposed project, it will be a requirement that consultation with relevant statutory bodies and with the public is carried out as part of the planning application process. When ultimately making their decisions on the planning applications under Section 34 of the Planning and Development Act, the planning authorities concerned will be required to consider the overall proper planning, sustainable development of the area, having regard to, and amongst other things, the provisions of the respective local development plans, submissions or observation received on the planning applications, and where relevant, any relevant policy of the government. In addition, the requirements of the Environmental Impact Assessment Directive and the Habitats Directive, which have been transposed into our planning legislation, will also have to be considered. Accordingly, any environmental impacts of the project will be fully assessed, while also having regard to any inputs in this connection from the consultation process with relevant statutory bodies and indeed, very importantly, with the public as well. The possibility of lodging an appeal against any decision of a planning authority is, of course, a fundamental feature of our planning system. The applicant or developer, as well as any person who made a submission on the original planning application, may appeal the decision of a planning authority to An Bord Pleanála, the independent statutory appeals board. In such instance, An Bord Pleanála is required to review the entire case and ultimately ultimately reaches its own determination on the matter, and that is in line with proper planning and sustainable development of the area.
Thank you, Minister.
So that concludes.
Deputy Brune has 2 minutes for a...
Thanks, Les Cahan. And I want to thank the Minister and also Minister Kelly, who contacted me to apologise for being unable to be here. Obviously, what you said, first of all, in relation to the consultation, Minister, you know, it's very unsatisfactory because clearly my constituents believe that this project is such of major significance to strategic infrastructure, whatever its planning, if you like, connotation at present, that the Department of the Environment and the Department of Transport should both be consulted directly. And it seems incredible that we learn about this major plan from press releases rather than from you know, engagement with the government and engagement with the local authorities. Can I just ask you, Minister, as well, I mean, what power has the Minister for the Environment got in relation to you know, environmental impact statements? Surely, again, a major infrastructural project costing at least 20 million, possibly more, and by the way, which will involve the promoters getting way leaves along you know, the major traffic arteries of Dublin City. Again, what power has the Minister to insist that an EIS would be brought forward in this regard? In the previous instalment of this madcap proposal in 1991-2001, the Health and Safety Authority said Ireland currently has no legislation whatsoever covering aviation fuel pipelines, and that the HSE and itself had no statutory remit in relation to the safety standards of the proposal. Has this changed, Minister? I don't believe it has. And are there any new safety regulations which relate to particularly aviation fuel pipelines? I'd imagine we would have had legislation if we had discovered oil off the west coast, and hopefully on the southwest coast. Hopefully we will have some oil discoveries in the future in you know, off the coast of Connacht and Munster. But we haven't had such legislation, so clearly there's a huge lacuna here. And is it not incumbent on the Minister to bring forward legislation before this could even be considered? Clearly, final point, the Malahide Road, of course, it's an impossible location because it's such a busy key artery of the North City and of Dublin Bay North. So any such proposal, I think it's unconscionable that we could hold it up for a year or more. And given the fact that we have the Port Tunnel, which is specifically built for this purpose and which aviation fuel trucks make up only 1.5% of the traffic, surely we don't need this, as I said, madcap half-baked proposal.
Minister, to conclude, 2 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Les Cahan. And if I could draw the Deputy's attention to that the environmental impact statements are now part of our planning process, and you know, they have been transposed into legislation. And the proposed construction of the fuel pipeline from Dublin Port to Dublin Airport is a private development, and it will be required to go through the full rigours of the planning process. Consideration of a planning application will, as I have stated, require consideration of the overall proper planning and sustainable development of the area. So where the local development plans are, they will all have to be taken into account. I would commend the Deputy, though, for raising awareness about this, because one of the complaints that people make about our planning process is that the whole area of the public consultation part of that, and I always feel that it is extremely important that people know about what developments are taking place in their area so that they can make a submission on it, they can make their views known, and then the planning authority will take all of that into consideration and it will make its deliberations on those submissions that are submitted. So the planning process is not there just necessarily to help the developer. The planning process is also there, for the public, but the public have to engage in it, and I do understand the Deputy raising awareness all about this.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.